From the podcast studio on the third floor of Anderson Hall at UNL's College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Keeping It Classy College Edition. We're your hosts. I'm Harmon Johnson. McKenna Bliss is across the way. We have a great show lined up for you. McKenna, welcome into episode number 5.
Glad to be here, Harmon. Thrilled.
So we mentioned we want to bring in guests. As we saw last week, episode 4, my dad was in here.
And my mom.
And yeah, your mom did join us.
Do not forget about my mom.
You're right.
She's our biggest fan.
I'm sorry. Shout out Laura.
I hope you know that. She is our biggest fan. She's listened to every, as soon as they come out, she will listen to them.
That's awesome.
We love you, Laura.
I'm glad we have a fan like that. Laura, keep doing what you do. We have another guest here today, another one of our childhood friends, and actually she's related to you, McKenna. Coming all the way from University of Nebraska, Kearney, down the road, we have Alexa Green in the studio with us today. Yay, Alexa.
Yay.
Happy to be here.
I'm glad you are, because when we tell people we want them to come on the podcast, they typically say, "You want me to do what?"
Yeah.
So we've got a great show here for you. We figured we'd talk a little bit about Alexa's experience over at UNK, because we've talked a lot about UNL. We're not the only university out there, although my job makes me think we are. But we also want to just kind of touch more on the childhood, I guess, reminiscence era. I mean, we had a lot of stuff go on during the COVID era in our friendship here, our friend triangle. It was a great time. So let's talk a little bit about you, Alexa. I mean, you're over at UNK. You want to just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am an elementary education major. I love the kiddos. I don't know what else to say, I guess. I'm not going to lie and be like, I always knew I was going to be an elementary teacher. I've changed my major my senior year. I've kind
What
of
were you
figured out.
before?
I wanted to be a speech and language pathologist.
Oh, yeah.
And then I took anatomy, and it was hard, and I passed by 4 points. So I was like, different career path for me. But I always knew I wanted to work with children, at least. It's the perks of having 4 little siblings.
Nice.
Yeah. I knew that Kearney had really good education major program, and it wasn't too far from home, so figured it was the place for me.
That's awesome. So a little bit, just kind of explain this. You and McKenna are actually related. Do you want to explain that?
So once upon a time, my grandma Laura had a son. His name is Josh.
This was a long time ago.
1980, she had a
Yes.
son named Joshua Dean Green. Fast forward to the year of our Lord, 2004, Laura is remarried,
And has me.
does marital things, and has McKenna.
Sorry, Mom.
A few months after that, my dad and mom meet. And then December, here I am. So McKenna is my dad's half-sister, making her my aunt, even though she is
Barely older than her.
a couple months older than
Yeah,
me.
we see here on the slide that you actually graduated with us. We were in the same graduating
Yeah,
class
I actually
in
sat
high school.
right next to Harmon
did.
during graduation.
Yep.
It was awesome.
It
We
was
laughed.
It was a fun time. We laughed across each other. I want to bring these up here real quick before we get into
Is there a way
anything.
you
God,
can connect
what
it to
are
the
those?
TV?
I can't. I can just show it up here.
Okay,
But-
yeah, just turn the TV this way.
When we were in freshman year,
God.
yeah, I knew you'd see these. So this is me. This is what I think you made this for me.
No, I did.
McKenna
I
made
these. I still have these stickers on my Snapchat. I made these on my Snapchat.
God.
I have all 3 of them here, so we're gonna go through each one here real quick since you're here in the booth.
And this is from freshman year of high school?
Yep.
Yeah, this was during our quarantine era. We'll talk about
4
a little
years
bit
ago.
about.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit more about it later. But during quarantine era, we would FaceTime every day because we couldn't see each other in person, and we became really close
We were locked
throughout
in.
freshman.
So we got mine here. The CEO of Knowing Sports. The quote that I think we had a quote. We had descriptions. This was a trend.
I think
when
it
we were
was
a
a
thing.
trend. No, it was. It was on TikTok, I think.
We apologize for the language. We were in.
I don't apologize for the language. I'm a college freshman now. I can cuss, Mom. I can cuss.
So for me, apparently I had intelligence times 10,000. This is definitely freshman year because I remember bragging about making the varsity squad for basketball.
Oh my gosh, yes, he would not be quiet about it. But
And then playing the flute. We mentioned my dad's name is Dwayne.
oh yes, we love Dwayne.
Although it's not spelled that way.
I'm sorry, I tried my best.
And my mom was an English teacher at the time. So yeah, that's pretty accurate. McKenna over here.
I cried a lot my freshman year, so I'm the CEO of crying because that's all I ever did. Yeah, my quote, sorry mom, but it's true. You raised me to be a baddie, so we'll just, yeah, I'm a baddie. I can't read what
It says you hate people, you had
Still
crackhead
true.
energy,
Still true.
you almost drowned in a minnow tank.
Yeah, I can tell that story really quick if you'd like to.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, one time, my parents own a bait store, and we have these big minnow tanks in the back. And my mom, I would just like play in them all the time, and my mom was up front of the store helping a customer, and I was just like playing in them, and I ended up falling in when I was like 2 or 3 years old. Like I don't know how 2, 3, 4 maybe, and she didn't realize I was in the minnow tank until she came back to get minnows for a customer. So
Yikes.
I almost died. Thanks, Mom.
The other things on here, you hate birds, you play every sport, you get annoyed almost immediately, which I think still reigns true.
Oh, it's so true.
And then this says you were in FFA, but you didn't know anything about farms.
Yeah, still true.
And
Oh,
you
that's
ended up
true.
being the president of that FFA chapter. Alexa, CEO of musicals. That's kind of ironic because you two were just at a musical last night, weren't you?
We went and saw Mean Girls at the Lead Center.
It was awesome.
I see your excitement on your face there.
Yes.
Is that your first Lead Center show, or?
Yeah.
Well, that's the first Broadway musical too.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
the only,
awesome.
I mean, me too.
The only other productions I've ever seen have been community theater.
Okay.
I watched
Yeah,
Carmen
I was
and
in
Mamma
there.
Mia.
I was in that. Quote here, good night, whore.
Yeah, actually, it's because me and Alexa, we would say goodnight to each other every night, and we'd always just add an insult in there. So it would be like
Nice.
good night and then an insult. So sorry for the offensive language, but
Yeah.
not sorry.
We were freshmen. Hates ranch. Has crazy memory about the past. You were in show choir, so was I. But I mean, that was
So
kind
was
of your whole
I.
personality. We were all in show choir. Apparently, when you made this, Alexa was getting a perm
Yeah,
on her hair.
My perm
I
era.
think that was your first perm. That
It
you-
was. It was.
Some other things
No, I don't.
on here. She doesn't. What is that? She doesn't go out much. Does that still reign true?
That still reigns super true. Probably even more true now than it did then, because at least in high school I had friends. Now I'm in college, and the only person I really talk to is my roommate and her.
And the other two here, very short and quote, Alexa, play Mo Bamba. I have an Amazon Alexa, shamelessly. And every time I say it, it's like, oh, I have a friend named Alexa.
Well, I'm glad you shout me out. I personally have beef with that robot because of the jokes that people make. I was here first.
And then one last thing here. This was 4th of July 2020, right after lockdown. I remember the night we all got together, bought fireworks, because we weren't supposed to go anywhere, but we did. Small town, no one cared. So
Yeah, COVID wasn't real in our small town.
no,
No one was convinced it was real.
no.
My mom took it very
Actually, yeah, that's
seriously.
Well,
true.
yeah,
Her mom
I guess
took it
you're
so
right.
Seriously, I'm surprised she let you out that night.
She's in the medical field, so she took COVID very seriously. I never went anywhere except to my grandma's house because she was my neighbor.
Right.
So
So yeah, if you haven't already figured out, there's a big connection between us three. We've grown up together. We've basically done everything together, I guess.
Like all of our activities in school,
Yeah.
we basically did together.
So what we're going to do to continue this episode, it's story time, and there's a lot of stories to get through, so we'll try and keep these short. But this is kind of just a walk down memory lane for us. So there are a lot of stories we could talk about, but the first one we have listed here are our activities, show choir, one acts, and speech.
Yes.
So I'll let you guys kind of lead the discussion.
Well, the story that we have written down, I actually don't remember it because, hello, I've had 2 concussions. I don't remember much of high school at all. So if you guys want to talk about, the first activity I have listed is show choir, and then what I have written is fighting for Harmon to sit in the back of the bus with us.
Alexa, do you want to tell this story?
yes, okay.
I could tell it too, but I want you to tell it.
So at our small town high school, the guys in our school didn't do anything that wasn't really seen as cool, except Harmon because he's a G. So our sophomore year of high school, Harmon was the only high school boy in our show choir. And we were on our way to a show choir competition, and we were traveling with the junior hires too, which greatly outnumbered us, by the way. And we were told that Harmon could not sit at the back of the bus with the rest of the high schoolers because he was a boy. And we had to separate the boys and girls. And we had planned to use this time on the bus to practice. So we were like, no, let him sit with us. It's Harmon. Like, it's not like we're all going to have...
It's Harmon!
Yeah, if you
Like-
don't know me, you know I haven't had a very successful love life.
I didn't
so.
mean it like that. I just meant that, like, we were planning
But
to be
it's true. I mean, that was our reasoning. Like, I wasn't gonna. Anyway,
Yeah, anyways, continue.
Most of us girls had boyfriends at the time.
true.
But we were like, we're using this time to practice. We need Harmon. He has a solo, like, So we argued
And he's
with
like the
teacher.
only guy, so we kind of need to hear his harmony because, he's the only one who has that harmony, so.
And we didn't want to make him sit with the annoying junior hires.
That's so
I'm
true.
sorry, but we had to save him from that awful fate. And
Yeah.
we won that argument, by the
Well,
way.
I remember going up specifically to the front of the bus because my dad was driving, and he called the principal personally and said, "This is ludicrous.
This is ludicrous.
Your para is making my son, who isn't going to do anything, sit up here when he should be sitting with his group." I remember he came on the bus and literally told her, "Hey, he's fine to sit back there."
Yeah, because we had this argument sitting at the parking lot of the school. We're like,
Yeah.
no, let him sit.
So that was our show choir. There's a lot of show choir memories that we could get into, but we won't because there's just a lot. The next one listed our one acts. So our
Yes.
junior year, we did a show called Ramona and Julian, which is basically a gender flip of Romeo and Juliet. So I was the Juliet character, and you were the Romeo character, McKenna. There was a line in there, Romeo and Juliet. It's a romantic comedy tragedy for a little bit, and there's a line in there that one of our other members of the cast was supposed to say to get us to not kiss.
It was like we were going, it was like we were leaning into kiss, and then he says, "Why I oughta."
Oh, you
And we
remember
were-
the line?
Oh, I remember it. He says, "Why I oughta," and then we break apart, and I'm like, "Oh, we'll see you later."
Mm-hmm.
That's like, it was a cue.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
He forgot the line pretty much, and we kept slowly.
I had my eye cracked. I was like,
It was kind of uncomfortable, because we knew each other. We were like, we're doing this for the acting.
Like, if it was a stage kiss, I would have been fine.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
also at that point, I think I had a boyfriend.
You did, and I was very scared of him.
So one time, throughout high school, Alexa and I fought constantly. We were always arguing. It was like every other day was something new. It was for no reason. And one time we were in a fight. It was during our senior year play. And so I was like, no, I'm mad at Alexa. So this scene together that we have, I'm going to skip all of her lines. And so I did, and she cried.
I did. Because fun fact, that year, McKenna played my mom and Harmon played my brother. So Harmon and I were siblings and McKenna was our mom. So I had a lot of scenes with McKenna. So I remember that specific rehearsal like the back of my hand. It was the worst rehearsal. And yes, I did cry. And I'm ashamed of it, yes.
I think you have a story, actually. It would have been Ramona and Julian, and...
Yes, about... Oh, wait, what?
When you got dropped on your head.
Oh, yes. So Ramona and Julian, so not only was it gender flipped, but it was also, instead of just rival families, they were rival gangs. That is why they couldn't be together. And they were fighting over the club. So there was dancing scenes. And my character was one of the dancers. So we were rehearsing, and the person who I was rehearsing with didn't exactly know the choreography. So we were practicing this flip. And I got dropped on my head. And I got dropped on my back and my butt. And I got dropped a lot because he could not complete the flip, and it hurt.
I remember the days we did choreography. We did it in the wrestling room on the mats, and then we had to actually go on stage and do it, and it was
Well, and our
great.
choreography always got switched up.
Yeah,
Always. I don't
Yep.
know why.
I don't remember
I think
why.
I think we were capable of really good choreography. We could have pulled off a big flip or a big jump if we were given one.
Right.
But
The spin you guys did was really cool, though.
it was
I do know
cool,
that.
but I would have liked a flip or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something more dramatic, but it's okay. Anyways,
One last activity that we were in together. We were all in an OID together our junior year.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Single man.
What's the story behind that?
Oh, I don't know. I just said we were
Alexa,
in
was
an
this
OID
your
together.
story?
Do we have any stories about that?
Well, that was when McKenna had her concussion. So she
Oh,
was
yeah.
constantly being substituted, which was really sad because she was the one who did most of the work for the
Yeah,
script.
I picked the script. I cut the script. I cut the script. By that, I mean I wrote the script.
Yeah.
I rewrote it because I didn't really like the original script, that's illegal. You cannot do that, but it's okay. I never got caught, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it was just really depressing because OIDs could have been so good if we would have rehearsed a lot more.
And it was a very funny OID.
It was
so
It was.
hilarious.
It was a hilarious
You're welcome,
OID.
guys.
So we, along with our activities, we were doing a lot together. So we'll continue story time here. We already talked about quarantine, FaceTiming on Instagram.
Mhm.
The next piece, dates way back to when we first started being friends. So I guess this is your story to tell, McKenna.
Yes. So once again, like I said earlier, Alexa and I were always fighting, and I guess it wasn't just in high school, it was also in elementary school. And one time, Alexa came up to me in kindergarten and was like, McKenna, I have a crush on Harmon. And I was like, oh my god, no way. And then, like, I turned around immediately and went and told Harmon. And Harmon was, like, chasing around Alexa at recess. And Alexa was just like, McKenna, why would you do this to me?
The only reason Harmon was chasing me was because I was running away. Harmon just wanted to talk, and I didn't. I'm still the same way. I didn't want to deal with it. So he wasn't chasing me. I was running away from him. I feel like that is an important distinction.
Yeah, my bad. My bad for that one.
And yes, I was very angry at McKenna.
We were in kindergarten.
It's okay.
Boys have
literally
cooties.
everyone had a crush on everyone in kindergarten.
Yeah, that's.
We
Mhm.
were like, oh my gosh, we have a boyfriend. And we would go home and our mom would be like,
No, you don't. Some other things back in the elementary days. Apparently, McKenna and I were the playground leaders.
no, we so were. Can you back this up?
Any game that required more than 3 people was put together by McKenna and Harmon. They were the ringleaders. They'd be like, okay, do you want to play this? Okay, so here's where you fit into this game. Like, one of them was Harry Potter. Harmon was Harry Potter. McKenna was Hermione. I was the cat. I didn't know what Harry Potter was at the time, so I was just happy to be there. But yeah, they were like, oh, you want to play? Good. Here is, like, they were like the casting directors of these games because the plot ran deep in these games.
The plot ran so deep in some of these games that we would like write storylines. Like there was lore and it
Yeah.
was written in a journal.
By we, she means her.
Yeah,
she
It was-
wrote.
But Harmon also helped to master these games. I also have another story about this. I just remembered.
Oh
it.
boy,
Do you remember when that
we're going off script, people. No, I'm just
that
kidding.
one girl it was a new girl, she came and she wanted to play with you at recess, but I was like, no, like I've been here, like I want to play with you at recess. But you were like, guys, like stop fighting, we can just split my time. And so on like Wednesday, Thursdays, or like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you would play with me, and then on Tuesday, Thursdays, you would play with her.
What?
Yeah, I'm still pressed about that.
Really?
I came there first, Harmon. I was the OG, and you just abandoned me.
I don't remember this at all.
Everyone,
I know you remember
everyone
this.
in the whole elementary class was like, yeah, Harmon and the new girl, they're together. He was the only boy invited to her birthday party. It was a whole thing.
You're gonna have to get back to me
I'll
after
tell
this.
you
I don't
the-
remember this.
Later.
Anyway,
I remember.
one thing about Alexa that you should know is she sang. She was in music. We were all in music at one point. And in our small school, there was not a lot of people that would go around to sing the national anthem. So some of us got to do it more than once. This is kind of an embarrassing story for Alexa, but there was one time she was doing the anthem.
She was anthening it up,
And she forgot the words.
and she just stood there like a cat, frozen in fear.
You know those videos of like when people forget the anthem and people start singing?
Yeah.
That was Alexa.
Did people start singing for you?
They did.
I
And
think I was in the locker room.
and
Yeah, it was before the girls' game.
so what happened was I got super anxious that I would forget it, and so I forgot it halfway through. And I remember this like it happened yesterday, although it happened like 3 years ago. But I like froze up, forgot the words, and once the crowd caught on, it was actually, if I remember correctly, it was actually the rival crowd started singing before our home crowd.
Yeah, how supportive
And
we
I
were.
remember the activities director, he was standing next to me and he was like rubbing my back like, it's okay, keep going, and I cried and then continued.
Were you a freshman at that time? No.
Sophomore.
Okay.
It's my sophomore year.
I couldn't remember.
It's okay, because I know if I would have sang the national anthem, I so would have forgot.
Oh yeah, that's the hardest part. You remember how to sing it, you just forget the words.
Yeah. Well, why would you? That's the most complicated words I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I did not sing it the solo again until my senior year, halfway through my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very last minute because Harmon couldn't find anyone else to do it.
Yep. There is a fair share of McKenna's embarrassment too when it comes to sporting events, and particularly in this sense, basketball. Alexa forgot her words before a basketball game. I think the same year you were at a road.
No, it was freshman year.
No, it was a different year.
Um,
We were at a basketball game, away game, and the crowd made McKenna do something embarrassing.
yeah. So we were at a school that I would consider us rivals with that school.
They were in our conference.
I would consider us not like rivals, but like we definitely had some rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, I believe it was
halftime.
it was about to be halftime, and there was like a minute left on the clock or whatever. We just broke the press, and I was standing like a little bit above the 3-point line, and this girl passes me the ball, and the other crowd goes 3, 2, 1. I didn't look at the clock. I was like, oh, time's up. Throw a bucket. Swish.
Oh boy.
Unfortunately, no, it was not a swish. It went like straight up and was like not even close to the hoop. Didn't even hit the backboard. Went straight up and straight down. So that was embarrassing. I have another embarrassing sports story. I ran track my no. My sophomore year. I ran track my sophomore year because freshman year was quarantine.
I remember those.
Sophomore year. And I was like, I want to run the 2 mile. I think I'm going to be really good. I have long legs. I have really great endurance. I was like, the 2 miles for me, for sure. My first meet, I was running the 2 mile. I was on my 7th lap, and they didn't have a lap counter. And my coach was like, last lap, like, you go, you got to push. And I was like, oh, good, thank God. I start kicking it on my 7th lap. Come to find out, it was my 7th, not my 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to run a whole nother lap. Dog tired, I didn't get last, but I did not do good. And she was like, I never said it was your last lap. And I was like, girl, yes, you did. I didn't just make that up, but maybe I did. I could have just made that up and thought it was like there was the other girl's coach saying that.
So we've talked a little bit about you and you specifically, but to include me, what was it, our sophomore year?
Yeah, because Harmon can't think of any embarrassing stories.
No, I can't. I'm sorry. I don't like thinking about my past. But to include me, there was a duet McKenna and I did in sophomore year concert jazz band.
Was it?
It was freshman.
Was it freshman?
It was freshman.
We did a jazz concert, and our music teacher wanted us to do a song together because we weren't doing a lot besides the whole group stuff. And I remember we picked a song. It was "Ain't No Mountain High Enough," Marvin Gaye. It was not for our range. We were not going to be able to sing that if we wanted to. But to make matters worse, the night of the concert, McKenna gets handed her microphone before we start singing.
I don't check it.
No, we don't check it. We're like, oh, it's always on. And so we start singing. I get the first part. I sing my first part. It was bad. Sing it anyway. McKenna goes to sing her part of the duet. There's no sound.
And
no
I'm
mic.
I'm not a very loud singer.
No.
So no one could hear me. I could barely hear myself. And also, you were trying to walk around and interact with me. And I was standing there swaying, facing straight forward. I said, don't even look at me. I just need to get this over with. I found that I'm not very good singing solos by myself or singing in small groups. I'm really great at singing in large groups, and I am confident singing loudly in large groups. But if you tell me, McKenna, sing the national anthem, no. No.
Not happening.
Not happening.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, that's another musical embarrassment that we had. But Alexa and McKenna's got this funny story. Alexa has been not only dropped on her head during one act, but there's also been some times in real life.
One thing about Alexa is the most embarrassing things happen only to her.
Just today, I was at McKenna's dorm and I was getting something out of her fridge and I tried standing up and I somehow knocked a shelf over.
The whole shelf.
Off her door.
Knocked 2 milk cartons out, knocked all of my drinks out, and I was like, girl,
nothing broke.
Only this only would happen to you. So for example, here are 2 examples of things that could only happen to Alexa. They would never happen to anyone else. Freshman year speech, or no, it was not freshman year. When was this? Junior year.
Me falling out of the bus?
Well, you just spoiled the story.
It was my senior year. This happened a year ago.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Okay, whatever. She fell out of the bus when she was carrying her stuff off of the bus. How did I just word that? That didn't sound right.
You know how buses have steps so it was top step, trip, fall out, land on the pavement.
Oh, no.
It was so funny. I was standing right behind her, and I did not help her up. Walked out, stepped over her, and started just cackling and pointing at her because I thought it was so funny. I'm sorry for that.
It was a very bad speech meet. I cried, and I forgot some of my stuff on the bus, and then the bus left before I realized this. So
I have another story about something that would only happen to Alexa. It was also during speech. So one time I was watching Alexa do her speech, and all of a sudden she did entertainment. So she has poster boards on an easel, and all of a sudden her whole easel falls. It just falls. And she's just like scrambling to pick it back up. It would not go back up, so she just leans it against the wall and hopes for the best.
And then it falls again.
And then it falls again.
Oh, jeez.
And this was my first time ever doing entertainment. My first round, first me ever doing. I wanted to cry.
Oh, jeez.
One more story about things that would only happen to Alexa.
Sorry we're dogging on you so much.
No, but like it's so funny that these things literally, I cannot imagine them happening to anybody else. It's only you. I think you're cursed.
I am. I'm extremely.
Well, she does have 2 different colored eyes.
That is a curse in itself.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. But
Anyways, during the 4th of July, our town has like a 4th of July parade. It's like what we're known for, I guess. It's just 4th of July. And Alexa and I were on a float together for the place I used to work at, this greenhouse. And we were sitting on lawn chairs on the float throwing candy to like kids and whatever. And we had water balloons and stuff too. Alexa goes down and she grabs a water balloon and because she sees her family and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get my family with a water balloon." I was like, "Oh yeah, you do that." And all of a sudden, as she's throwing the water balloon, the back leg of the chair slips off the trailer and she just goes down with it. So she was sitting in this chair, right? She doesn't attempt to stop herself from hitting the pavement. She just is sitting and falls. It was so funny. I cried laughing about it, and I still every time I think about it, I cry laughing because it's literally the funniest thing. I wish you could have seen it because it was so funny. It
Wow.
doesn't sound as funny when I'm telling it, but I swear it was the
Wow.
funniest thing that's ever happened.
I just want to clarify. She kind of dogged on me for not even trying to stop this. It happened so fast. This float was like probably as high off this like the table, so it's not like I had a whole lot of time to try to catch myself. It all happened. 1 second I was on the float, next I was on the street. The float was going away. My family was laughing at me. I had a mini concussion.
Yeah, my boss did not realize she fell off the float and just kept trucking.
Oh, my goodness.
She had no time to get back on this float. And once we got back to the greenhouse, he was like, "Where'd your friend go?" And I said, "Oh, she fell off." He said, "She fell off." And I also
What did you do after you fell off?
Sat up my chair with my family. All of my stuff was still on the float. My phone, my
drink,
everything.
Another funny thing is that she was like very, very close to the wheel. So you definitely
could have almost got ran over.
Your head would have exploded.
Oh, jeez.
I think that's the funniest story that ever. Like even nothing could top that. You falling off a bus? No, it can't top that you fell off a parade float.
All of my family was really concerned except for my uncle. He had pretty much the same reaction as her of just thinking it was absolutely hilarious. And he still picks on me for it.
That's fun. That's fun. No, it's not.
It's not.
Anyway, we've talked enough about our friendship here. Let's talk a little bit about what we kind of want to tie this into our concept for this podcast here is, so we've tried to give college advice and stuff like that. So the topic here now is adjusting from small town life because we all came from the same hometown, obviously, 1,000 people or less. And now you're in Kearney, which is 50,000 people?
I'm not sure at all.
Somewhere around there.
It's a lot more people than our small town.
And then we're obviously in Lincoln, which is 100,000. I mean, it's huge.
That's it?
Yeah, it's not as big as you think.
Really?
It's not as big as you think.
I need to look this up.
You go ahead and look it up.
Look
We're
up
going to
Kearney.
get started here. So the first one revolves kind of around Alexa. So the driving differences between small town and, obviously Kearney's a little bit bigger. It still kind of feels like a small town.
Mm-hmm.
But you particularly did not have a driver's license for the longest time.
I actually got my driver's license the day before I left for college. Fun fact. So, yeah, I don't know how to drive on the interstate still to this day. So I drive the highway whenever I go home. So
Which is not the worst thing.
No, it takes a little bit longer. It takes probably another 45 minutes than it would on the interstate. But yeah, it was definitely an adjustment at first, just realizing wow, there is a lot more people. There's a lot more cars, stoplights, because our small town has maybe one stoplight, two.
And it's not even a stoplight. It's just a yellow light flashing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I think it also, for us, there are so many different things that, we've never, roundabouts. We had one roundabout kind of near us, but
Mm-hmm.
there are so many roundabouts here. Getting onto, the interstate here is a lot different than getting onto an interstate at a small town.
Right.
Just being on a 3-lane interstate is insane. And, driving through residential neighborhoods, I talked about this today with Alexa. I said, I think it's so crazy that like in our hometown, like all the residential neighborhoods are like 25 speed limit. Here it ranges from like 35 to like 55.
Mhm.
Driving through a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
It feels crazy to do that because I'm like there could be kids.
Yeah. Well, and some of those residential neighborhoods, especially here in Lincoln, are old, and so the
So
streets
old.
are narrow,
Mm-hmm.
and the speed limit's still like 35 because they've
Yeah.
got to get people through.
Yeah.
I know there's one street that I was on a couple weeks ago because my mom's friend lives here, and the street is just, I mean, it's narrow. He's like, don't drive down this if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
Like, take the other way around.
I also think it's. I had something else I was just going to talk about, but I forgot. Well, I don't remember.
Moving on, being close to your classmates versus not talking to as many people. Obviously, our class wasn't as tight-knit as maybe some other classes, but we were still pretty close.
I mean, well, you were able to talk to pretty much anyone.
Yeah, no one had too serious beef. I mean, there were a
No.
couple that were like, I'm not
Yeah, but,
talking
like-
to them, but they're
But you still knew them, and you
Mhm.
knew their life, and you
Right.
knew most of their family. Like everyone knew each other, and everyone
Yeah.
knew what everyone was going through. Basically,
so the difference now being at college where you don't know anybody.
It-
no, like you'll walk down the street, and you will see like 400 people when you're walking. You won't know a single person.
Even at Kearney, which I obviously is a lot smaller class size than here at Lincoln, you're lucky if you know some. Like at the beginning of the semester, in one of my classes, I knew one person because I had him in a class before. So that was something that shocked me, was going from high school where I'd known these kids out like at the very least since 7th grade, most of them since kindergarten, to now only meeting them and seeing them for an hour a day, 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy to me because I like making friendships and stuff. So that was weird for me. I was like, how do I connect with these people if I only see them so much?
Right.
How?
And if you don't interact with your roommate even, like I know I've done a pretty good job. I'm pretty sure you've done a pretty good job. I don't talk to you as much as I probably should, but I'm sure you've done fine. You're a very outgoing person. If you don't do that, I mean, you have
You're-
nobody.
Unless you attempt to really interact with people outside of your room,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard.
That was actually my biggest fear moving to college. Like I remember walking up to my dorm on move-in day with my mom being like, Mom, what if my roommate and I don't get along? I am screwed. Like that is the backbone of college, is liking your roommate. And I remember that was one of my biggest fears. Like I would stay up at night a week before almost crying because I was like, what if I don't get along with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now relating off of that, also the distance from family. Obviously, you're closer than we are to our hometown. So what's kind of the difference been like for you, as far as I mean, you have younger siblings. I have younger siblings, but yours are a little younger than mine are. So you're probably a little more involved in that than I am.
Well, a big tool is FaceTime for me personally. I love calling my mom or my brother, but I actually am a child of divorce, so my mom lives in Sutherland, which is only a couple hours away from Kearney, but my dad actually lives in Sydney, which is like twice that amount. So since coming to college, I've only seen my dad 3 times. And that's 2 of those was because he was in the area. And one of them was I drove to Sydney. So definitely you have to be, one thing I learned is you have to be in charge of when you want to go. Like I've had to take off work so that I can go home. Like it's not just going to happen on its own. And that's something that's kind of rough.
Right.
Definitely. Well, and I think that it's just like from small town life to big city life, like there's not a lot of small towns that are really located outside of big cities. Like I can't even think of a small town that's outside of Lincoln. But you also coming to like Lincoln, you find that like there are so many people here that have always lived in a big city,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be like Chicago, obviously Lincoln, or Omaha. They're just like most of the people I've met have been from Lincoln.
Really?
Yeah, which is insane to me that I'm like, oh, like you wouldn't want to move out, like you wouldn't want to leave your hometown, whereas we were like, we've got
We're
we're
getting out of here.
So I think that's just crazy. Just like
No offense
But
to the
people-
slow kind of lifestyle, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely advantages and disadvantages.
yeah, definitely.
One thing that I found is crazy is I've started connecting to people who are just from like the general area that I'm from. Like I have a friend who's from a town that's 20 miles outside of Sutherland that I'm like, yes, I know you. I know your area.
I also kind of find the same thing as where I connect better with people who were from small towns because I don't know, they just like The way
They
that
get it.
the way that small town people live is just so. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so not cliche.
No.
Niche.
Yeah,
Very
that's a better
niche.
word.
And so, trying to make friends with people who have not lived in a small town is just like I just don't have much in common with them. They've had so many more experiences with me that we can't like share a new experience. So like making friends with people who have been from small towns their whole life or have worked on a farm or know about agriculture or go hunting and fishing like that, those are my kind of people.
Right.
So I think that's just like something that I've found while coming to college is my friends are from small towns.
Another change from the small town life to the big city life, especially when you go to college, is when you're in a small town, everyone knows who you are, what you do, what you stand for, every little thing about you. When you get here, no one knows you, no one knows your drama.
Which is actually a huge advantage. Like you can make yourself become whoever you want to be in college. You can start over. It's like unless you're going somewhere really close to home. But like for me, like I can start over. It's a blank sheet of paper and I get to rewrite my story here, which is really nice because in high school, I was in so much drama. Girl, I was every week there's something new. So,
yeah.
It's been nice. No drama here.
There's also, especially in the big city aspect now, that there's a lot to do. Like when we were in high school, your fun sometimes consisted of going out and driving in the country roads, like
Or Dollar General.
or Dollar General. Yeah, that was a
Walmart.
staple.
Yeah, I remember being like, Mom, can I please go with McKenna to North Platte? We just need something to do. Please, Mom, let's go to North Platte. It's 20 miles away, please.
Right.
But now that we live in Lincoln, there's so many things to do. Like things that I never even thought existed. There's like a dog bar downtown where you can take dogs and go get coffee or drinks. And I'm like, huh? That's a thing? But it's just it's crazy to the point where it's, number one, overwhelming. But also, after I've been living here for a while, I'm just as bored as I was in my small town.
Really?
I'm like,
I mean, I
could go do this,
still try and find stuff to do. Obviously, I'm a little different because I'm a sport nerd. So whenever there's a sport coming on, I'll go, or I'm considering going to Omaha tomorrow to go watch a baseball game because the team that I want to watch is in town. It's like I can go. I'm an hour away.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's another thing. For Lincoln, we're an hour away from Omaha. Like,
Yeah.
you could fly from nearly anywhere from Omaha.
Yeah.
But here in Lincoln, we've got, I mean, there's mini golf course, there's golf courses, there's different parks and rec centers and
restaurants,
downtown in the Haymarket. I mean, there's so
malls,
much to do. Yeah, an actual mall.
Actually full of stores.
Not just a hallway of.
But part of the bad thing, I think we have this right under here, is actually the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
So with all those new things that come with the big city living, you got to pay for it.
Right.
So like you can't expect like I think the only things that are really free here is you can go walk around and look at things.
Right.
You can like go to the Sunken Gardens. You can. That's about it.
Yeah.
If you want free things to do in Lincoln, that's all you got.
If you're a student here at the university, you can go to every sporting event except for football, volleyball, and men's basketball for free. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, that's kind of my niche.
A lot of colleges will have a lot of different activities that you just have to look for them.
Right.
And they'll be free for students. You just got to keep in touch with
but off campus, you got to find your own thing.
Yeah.
Another thing along with that is the different activities to be a part of. I mean, we've done, you and me personally, we've done intramurals for sports. There were a couple of other activities that you and I did. I don't know what kind of stuff that you guys have at UNK.
Well, that's been another adjustment is I was fairly involved in high school, but in college I'm not in anything besides my jobs. But there is a lot of stuff to do on campus. Like there's a ton of different committees. There's Greek life.
Mm-hmm.
You have intramurals too.
Yeah, there's intramurals, and they have work study jobs, all that stuff. You just got to get out and like get involved.
Well, not even just on campus, like off campus. I know that there's like, I actually saw this driving down the road the other day. There's a like softball league for men.
Yep.
That you could join. You could be like, there's different workout groups that you could be a part of. There's different like book clubs you can be like. There's so many different things that you could join in Lincoln for free.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. I don't personally, but if you wanted to do that, that's a choice in big city living.
Yeah. One more little thing to talk about here, moving from the small town to the big city. is probably one of the biggest adjustments is crime / just kind of sketchy people.
Yeah, it's so like it's weird. Like in our small town, if you heard the sirens, everybody's posting on Facebook like, "Who knows what just happened? Why are the sirens going?" Blah 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 blah. Whereas now it's just like I tune them out at this point.
There goes the fire
We
station.
live right next to we live right next to the fire station. So
Yeah, we do.
Every night.
It's like every other hour. I want to say that the fire department is going and doing something every other hour, even in the middle of the night. Like I will be working on something at 1:00 in the morning, and I will hear the sirens, and I'll look out the window and I'll see the lights, and then they're gone.
Yep, and even since we've been here, this is gonna scare my parents, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Even since we've been here, there have been 2 shootings fairly close to campus. We have had dangerous people alert
We have.
on campus where the whole campus was sent an email about a dangerous person, and they arrested him. But like, also living in a big city, like when you're driving around, you will see lots of homeless people walking around. You will have to be aware of your surroundings. You cannot be looking on your phone the whole time, especially if like, obviously as a man, it's good to do that, but especially as a woman, you need to be on the lookout at all times.
Oh, I would agree. My roommates and Chandler, we went to a movie yesterday downtown, and in the span of walking from our dorm to the theater, I think we encountered maybe 3 or 4 homeless people, and just on the street. And we walked by, and one of them was like, "Hey, can we ask you a question?" We were just kind of polite, like, "No, we got somewhere to go," and it's just like you feel bad for them, but at the same time, you don't know what they would do to you if you stopped and had a conversation.
Yeah,
because they may seem, feeble
scary.
or it sucks.
That's another thing is like living in a city, you can't really go many places alone. You need to be able to go in a group of people because it's unsafe. It's so unsafe. And like you will feel better. You will feel better if you have people to go with. I don't know if it's different in Kearney because like obviously Lincoln is just like much bigger.
Well, me personally, I don't like going anywhere alone just because I'm a codependent person. So, but yeah, if I go somewhere and my roommate is in the dorm when I'm leaving, I'm like, "Hey, will you go with me?" Like, even if it's downstairs to do our laundry or take the trash out or just get a snack, I'm like, "Hey, will you go with me?" Just because you never know what's going to happen.
No, you absolutely never know. And I listen to so many true crime things that I think I'm just like, I have made myself so paranoid about every little thing. So I think just to be aware that like if you are moving to a big city, especially for college, you are going to hear a lot of crime and things. It's going to happen almost every night.
It sucks. It happens. It's just a part of our life right now, I guess. That's the unfortunate part about where we are as a society. But on that happy note, we're going to start to wrap this one up. It's time now for the movies and shows of the week.
I didn't even think about one. Okay.
Well, we'll let Alexa go first because I'm sure we told her to already think about one. So, Alexa, what's your recommendation? What should we watch this week?
So it's not necessarily a new movie, but I love the Into the Spider-Verse movies, and then Across the Spider-Verse that came out last year, and then there's a new one coming out sometime soon.
Those are the Miles Morales ones, right?
Yes. The story, the animation is, even back when the first one came out, I think it was 2018?
Yeah, something like that.
Even then, like, the animation is top tier, especially in the most recent one. Like, not to spoil anything, but there's other dimensions. And the cool thing is, like, each dimension has its different, like, art style. So it's just, and like I said, great story. So it's something for everyone. So
that's awesome.
check it out.
Well, I'll go next because McKenna's still looking for a film to talk about. The movie that we went and watched the other day was Shrek 2. That's going to be my recommendation for the week. It's its 20th anniversary on April 12th, which has come and gone already. But go ahead, go watch it. It's a great movie. I wanted to get up and dance when they did the Holding Out for a Hero song that the fairy godmother sings. My roommates wouldn't let me because we were in the theater with about 5 other people. I mean, I could have done it. No one would have cared. But, yeah, Shrek 2 would strongly recommend. Go watch Shrek 1 also if you want to. But don't watch 3. Don't watch 3. 3 is literal dogfire.
Justin Timberlake does a great job playing Prince Arthur in that movie. Do not harm him.
I don't like that movie. I don't like 4 either. I like 1 and 2, and that's about where my Shrek fandom taps out.
3 is amazing. Shout out Prince Arthur.
McKenna? Did you find something?
Yeah, I guess so. For me, I guess since we were talking about friendship, go watch. I have two. Okay, they give me the same vibe. Go either watch The Breakfast Club or Lemonade Mouth.
Lemonade Mouth. Oh my goodness. I remember watching that in, what was it, 5th grade?
It's just a good
Fourth
movie
grade.
about like different people becoming friends, and I think that's a pretty accurate representation of who we all are. Like, you're sporty. I don't know. I'm mean.
And the music is amazing. Determinate, excuse me.
See, I
She's
couldn't
so
have told you.
gone.
I couldn't have told you what the movies were or the songs were.
That tells you that we're all different people.
Nice.
Great movie.
Well, I'm glad you found something to talk about here in the end of the show. We'd like to thank Alexa for joining us here on our 5th episode of our podcast. We've hope we've been getting a lot of good variety in here so far. I think we've talked about a lot of different things. But yeah, Alexa, thanks for coming on. If you ever want to be a guest again, we can probably Zoom you in. It'd be a little difficult, but we could do it. If you got anything else you want to say, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in, listening. We'll be back next Friday. We don't know what we're doing yet because we filmed these in advance. We will find out. But Friday, 10 a.m., new episodes every week on my YouTube channel. And for McKenna Bliss, I'm Harmon Johnson. Over here on this side of the table, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.